Hello, everyone. Thank you, Faizan. Welcome, everybody. We're just waiting for people to arrive. If you have a question about English, you can ask me your questions about English. What are the screens for? What do you mean? Oh, well, two screens for the computer, one for the HelloTalk monitor and one for the YouTube monitor. My phone, my iPad, which is the mixing controller, and then my other computer with another monitor is also right over here. This is a PC. That's what I do all my streaming on, but I actually like to use Mac to do most of my writing and my work. So I use a Mac to do all my writing and my work, and I use this for all my streaming. Hello, Huda. Hello, Mila. Hello, Lena. Oh. Mm. I'm a technology nerd. Kind of. I actually don't like computers. Well, that's not true. I don't like PCs. I haven't liked PCs for a long time um, because they're just too freaking complicated for no reason. Um, the fact that they continue to make PCs and still make them complicated is confusing to me. I don't understand why. Why not make them more intuitive? Why not make them easier to use instead of insisting that anybody who wants to do anything on a PC has to learn about coding and about uh, system files, and I don't want to know about any of that. I don't want to know about any of that. I want to use my computer to do things. I have no idea why it does them or how it does them. I just want it to do them. And that's why I use Mac, because Mac is intuitive and it does make it easy for you to use, and you don't have to know anything about coding or anything about how to run the stuff or or how the programs work or anything like that. So, yeah, I like. I admit I'm an Apple nerd for sure. I've been an Apple nerd for many years, um, because they work well. They're good tools that work well. They're easy. They're functional. They're intuitive. Some people will debate which phone is better, the Android or the iPhone. I think that's stupid because it's kind of like debating whether or not you have a Ferrari or you have an old Pinto. But the question isn't always what car do you have. The question is, do you know how to drive? So if you have a Ferrari but you don't know how to drive, I'm going to beat you in my Pinto. I'm going to beat you in my Pinto because you don't know how to drive. So my point is, even if Android might be better in some ways than Apple, it doesn't really matter because you're not using it for any of that anyway. Yeah, anyway. So, that's my Apple advertisement. Now, as a company, I think that they are terrible. As a company, I think they do a lot of bad things. I think they make a great product, though. You know? Would I like them to change a lot of their business behaviors? I would. And I would be willing to pay more money for it. But I can't do too much about that. Okay, so welcome to English Q&A session. If you have questions about English, ask me. Huda says, why do I never play a piece of music here? I do. I played music yesterday and the day before yesterday. Huda, most of the time I don't play drums because, like right now, it's early in the morning. I don't want to play drums early in the morning and bother my neighbors. Or late at night, and I don't want to play drums late at night and bother my neighbors. So I usually do it for live streams on Friday or Saturdays and Sundays in the afternoon here. But I do play music. Just not all the time, because that's not why I'm here. People are not here to watch me play drums. People are not here to learn about music. People are here to learn about English. Most of them. Maron, hello Belen. Hello Coco. Is it okay to feel good at speaking English one day and have a good conversation, then the next day feel the opposite and have a bad one? Yeah, that's normal. Totally normal. That's just like some days I feel like I can play drums really, really, really well. Most days I can. But occasionally I have a day where I just don't feel right. My body doesn't feel right. I don't feel right. My mind isn't working right, so it doesn't come out well. Does that mean I'm not a good drummer suddenly? No, it just means I had a bad day. It happens. And the more you practice, the less it happens. So if you don't want that to happen, then keep practicing. Okay? What is the difference between I have watched that movie and I watched that movie? I have watched that movie is telling somebody. Okay, so in some ways it's not different. They're both past tense, both saying that the movie has been watched. But I have implies somebody is asking, or it implies that there's a choice, or it implies that there's a conversation happening about that movie, right? So have, it's kind of interesting. It's kind of like, almost like possession, but not quite. Hold on one moment. Let me get my notes. Let's see. I know I have a note about this. Where did I put it? Present. Progressive. Oh, yeah, there it is. Okay, so I have watched, that's present progressive. Right. And so when you're talking about present progressive, you're talking about something that was in the past and it was unspecified and it has a possible connection to the present, right? So, for example, I have watched that movie 10 times. Now, if you add 10 times in there, now you're telling somebody that in the period of time from the first time you watched it until now, you've watched it 10 times. Okay, so from the past until now, 10 times you've watched it maybe once last year, twice the year before, and 5 times the year before that, whatever. Okay? But I watched is just simple past that just tells somebody that you did something in the past, right? So one implies that there could be a connection to the present, okay, and one doesn't. One just says, I finished that, I watched that. Okay, so without context, there is almost no difference. If I saw more of a conversation, then I would be able to tell you, oh yeah, well look, there's the difference. They're talking about how many times they've watched it. If you're talking about how many times you've watched it, then you would always use present progressive. I have watched it 10 times. I have seen it. Right? But if you're just talking about, I watched it yesterday, in that case, you'll include a time period to tell somebody that, when it happened in the past. Okay? Go to my YouTube channel, Lena. There's lots of videos of me playing music there. I just uploaded one yesterday. What did I have for breakfast? I had a piece of bread. My father makes really delicious zucchini bread. We have zucchini from my garden. And he makes delicious blueberry walnut zucchini bread. So I had a big fat piece of that for breakfast. What's the difference between cuddle and snuggle? It's S-N-U-G-G-L-E, and snuggle. Really nothing. Cuddling and snuggling are pretty much the same thing. I think that those are mostly interchangeable. Let me see what they say here. So the AI answer says that snuggling is more casual and cozy version of cuddling. Sometimes a shorter duration and a more casual embrace. But see, I don't know if I would agree with that. Sometimes I think snuggling is actually more intimate than cuddling. So that's why I said, I kind of think that the difference between cuddling and snuggling, they're both very similar. And they both mean to get close to somebody intimately, like to hold them closely, and maybe you're watching a movie and you're holding each other. That's cuddling, okay, or snuggling. Some people might think we're snuggling together. We were snuggling. Some people might say we were cuddling together. The girl might think they're snuggling and the guy might think they're cuddling. There's not enough of a difference to make a difference. It's semantic. Okay, so, and whichever one you want to say is fine. Whichever one you like more is fine. Okay? Wake up and smell the coffee. Is it like, hey, get back to reality? Yeah, that's right. Yeah, wake up and smell the coffee means like your mind must be dull because you're missing something. You're not seeing something that you should see. So have some coffee, wake up, and then see it. Okay? My YouTube channel. Go to this link here. and you'll find everything. Thank you, Mora. Hello, Carolina. Hello, Zoe. Coffee is bad for the body. So what? Who cares? Ditter. Do you have any idea how much coffee I've drank? And actually, no, Ditter, I just read an article yesterday. That says that people who drink a lot of coffee, not a little, a lot, they have a 5 to 6 times chance of less chance. I'm sorry. They have a 5 or 6 times smaller chance of getting dementia. Okay, so actually coffee is now being proven to show that it has effects that help the mind regenerate itself so it doesn't degrade. Okay? And yeah, coffee's good. You know. Do you have any idea how many people drink coffee every day and they walk around and they don't fall down dying? You know, lots of things are bad for you. Who cares? Live. Coffee is yummy. That's what I know. Lots of things are bad for you. Mona, did you go to my link tree? It's on there. Here, try this. Try that. What's my secret to looking fresh in the morning? I have no idea. I don't know. I wake up, I teach a lesson, I drink coffee. The coffee is definitely part of the secret because I am not a morning guy. I hate mornings. I'm not a morning person. I mean, the older I get, I guess I kind of get into it more, but I've always been a night person. So, but unfortunately, I have to be up in the morning for my work now. It's just the way it is. So I wake up early, and then I need a good amount of time to really wake up. So I would say that I need at least 30 minutes to 1 hour of just waking up and having some coffee and reading the news and maybe working a little bit, writing an article before I start, doing some of my notes or scheduling or things like that that I need to do. And then after an hour and some coffee, then I'm human. But I won't say I'm fresh. Yeah. You had a glass of wine in the morning. Ooh, I can't do that. Coffee can improve your spirit. Yeah. Even the smell of coffee. Yeah. Wakes me right up and makes me feel better. How can you improve your writing skills, Sahar? ChatGPT, ChatGPT, ChatGPT. There has never in the history of man ever been an easier way to improve your writing. There's never been an easier way. I want you to forget that ChatGPT is AI. Forget that it's AI. I want you to pretend that ChatGPT is your new writing coach. Tell ChatGPT, you're my new writing coach. Did you know that? Okay? And then use it every single day. If you use ChatGPT every single day and you tell it to be your writing coach, I promise you your writing will get better quickly. Okay? You never tried iced coffee? Well, some people don't like it, some people like it. The secret of iced coffee is because you're adding ice, you have to do one of two things. Either your ice needs to be made of coffee, which some people do. They make coffee ice cubes, right? They pour coffee into a tray and freeze it, and then they use coffee ice cubes. Or what I do is I do use ice cubes, but that means it's a lot of water. So that means your coffee needs to be very strong. You have to have strong coffee. And then you pour it over the ice, you add your cream or whatever if you want, and there's your iced coffee. I like tea too, but I'm an American. We don't drink tea that often. But I have oolong tea, I have British black tea, I have green high mountain tea, I have a bunch of different kinds of tea. I think I probably have at least a dozen kinds of tea. Yeah. For my shake, for my well-being. I don't know about for my shake. For my well-being, yeah. But where did you hear from my shake? I've not heard that. But Bellin, I don't always know the young people's language. But ChatGPT makes huge blunders sometimes when correcting a piece of writing. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. I use it all the time to correct my writing. Every single day I use it to correct my writing. And I'm an English teacher. I assure you, it doesn't make huge blunders. It might make the occasional small blunder, but it does not make huge blunders. It knows grammar very well. I promise. You've gone to English class, but I think they're wasting my time. Can I study by myself? You can study by myself, but what would be better is if you go to English class and study by yourself. That's what you should be doing. That's what everybody should be doing. When you're in school, you're supposed to still be self-studying. School just makes it easier. You know? Iced coffee equals pineapple pizza. Well, I like pineapple pizza too. Sake. Yes. Okay, sake. For my sake. No, for my sake means for me. Like for the respect of me. Right? So, if you were talking about Adriana or Marius, little Marius, maybe you could say something like, for my sake, I hope you brushed your teeth. You know, in this case, it would be kind of like saying, I don't want to smell your bad breath. Or you could say, maybe they're going to their class, you know, for my sake, I hope you did this. You know, that means like, for my reputation, for my well-being. Well, it's kind of my well-being, but I think it depends on the context. Let me check something. I want to check on one thing. Yes, like for my benefit, right? For my interest, for my advantage. It has a few different meanings. It depends on where you're using it, right? So please come to the party for my sake. That means like, you know, hey, right. So like maybe you don't feel like going, right? You say, I don't feel so good. I don't feel like a party. And you say, hey, but please, it's my birthday. For my sake, come. So it's like, hey, I want you there. I know you don't feel good, but if you care about me and you respect me, then for my sake, do it. For my benefit, do it. Okay? Or for my sake, can you please not make so much noise? So this means, for my benefit, for the respect of me, can you please be more quiet? Okay? And It's interesting. The word sake, the original meaning of the word sake, it actually means a charge or a lawsuit or a dispute. That's interesting. Oh, I see. So the word sake has actually been changed, and now it kind of means case now and cause. Interesting. For the cause of, for the sake of, for heaven's sake. Yeah, right. Anyway, I hope you get that, Belen. I was kind of rambling. XV, is that Roman? That's, yeah, X is 10 and V is 5, so XV is 15. Those are Roman numerals. You can look them up. There's a whole system. It's not really that needed anymore, though. I mean, you know, how often do you really need to know about Roman numerals except for the Super Bowl and maybe, you know, the Olympics or something? I don't know. They don't use them that often. Yeah, for my sake, be on time and don't make me wait forever. Right. That means if you respect me for my benefit, you know, I really, the definition says for my benefit, but I really think that the meaning is closer to, if you respect me, then you'll do this. If you care about me and you have respect for me, admiration for me, then you'll do this. Okay, for my sake. What's the difference between aspects, accept, and expect? I'm assuming you mean the pronunciations, not the meanings. Aspects. Make your mouth bigger, Layla. Aspects. That's the first one. Accept is the second one. Accept. So the first C is a hard C, and the second C is a soft C. Accept. 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 That's the second one. The third one is accept. Not smaller mouth. Accept. Okay, so accept and accept are the same, but accept has a bigger mouth. Accept. 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 Okay? And then the last one is expect. 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 Okay? How did I learn Chinese? I got books, I got apps, I had friends, I took lessons, I got tutors, I went to university for 6 months. I used every method that I could use to teach myself. Please pay attention when you're driving for my sake. Yeah, that'd be correct. Yeah. If you care about me, if you respect me, then you'll do this for me. Okay? For my sake. That's what that means. Hello, hello, everyone. Jaja, I'm the middle child. I'm the middle child. I have an older brother and a younger sister. Could I say, let me bring you up to speed, like let me tell you the news or whatever is new, or is it too informal? No, let me bring you up to speed is fine to use that way. We use it in two ways. One would be, I think the most common way would be to tell somebody, like maybe you have, oh, I know, maybe somebody from the restaurant you work, where you're working is, they haven't been there for 3 months, and there've been a lot of changes that you've done in the restaurant in the last 3 months. Now they're back, so you can say, hey, let me bring you up to speed. That means let me tell you what you missed. Okay, let me tell you what you missed. Or tell you whatever's new. Okay? Yeah, because what that means is you have fallen behind. Oh, you're behind now? So let me help you. Let me bring you up to speed. We're up here. You're down here. Let me bring you up to speed by telling you what you missed. Okay? So how long does it take? It takes as long as it takes. Everybody is different. There is no answer for how long learning takes. Learning takes until you learn. And everybody is different. Every person on the planet who has ever been alive, they've all learned at a different rate. Not one person in the history of man has ever learned anything at the same rate as anyone else. Your experiences are uniquely yours, which means your process will be uniquely yours. Okay? Layla. Layla, are you confused about the meaning or are you confused about the pronunciation? I already said the pronunciation. Are you still confused about the meaning? Difference? Can I understand Chinese movies? Some. It's water under the bridge. Yeah, we use that. No, it's not outdated. No, it's not outdated. You know, the beautiful thing about language is nothing's really outdated. If you start using it again, now it's being used again. Does it sound too informal? Bring you up to speed? I don't think so. Myself? No, I don't think it sounds that bad. I don't think it sounds like rude or too casual. No. I think it's a common thing to want to say to somebody to help them get back into doing things the way you want them done. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. Okay? Okay, the meaning. If you want the meaning, Layla. Okay, so aspect. An aspect of something is some feature, something about it. So what color is it? That's one aspect. How tall is it? That's another aspect. Or if I say... let me think. Let me give you some examples. Hold on. It's like a trait. It's like a trait or a feature. So the most impressive aspect of this building is the columns. It has many columns. That's an impressive aspect. It means a feature, a trait, a thing. Okay? Or the professor discussed the historical aspects of the event. So he's talking about something that happened, and he's now telling you about the aspects, the parts about it that are historical. Okay? Or one aspect of his personality is his generosity. One trait of his personality is generosity. Okay, so that's aspect. That's the meaning of aspect is like trait or part or feature. Okay? Accept means I accept you, means that it's okay, you are fine the way you are. You don't have to change. Okay? If I say I accept your answer, that means your answer is okay. Okay? To accept something means to approve of something or to acknowledge and approve something. Okay? So I accept that you are better than me at Chinese. That means that I acknowledge that you are better than me. Okay? And the next one, accept. Accept means, X means out. EX means out. Okay, so exceptions means things that are on the outside. Okay, so all of these are fruit except for this pepper. So all of these are fruit, all of these are apples except for this one. Means other than this one, outside of this one. Okay, so when you see the word accept, think of outside of that. Okay, it's outside of something. It's an exception. Like an exception is like, these are the rules, they're inside. Okay, the rules are inside here in this circle. Okay, but every rule has an exception. Something that's like, okay, what doesn't follow that rule. The exceptions are outside the circle. Okay? And then the last one is expect. To expect something means that you know something is going to happen. Okay? So I expect you to be here at 4 o'clock means we talked about being here at 4 o'clock. You said you're going to be here at 4 o'clock. So I will expect you to be here at 4 o'clock. Okay? So expectations are things that you believe will happen. Okay? You understand that they will happen or you believe that they will happen. Those are expectations. Okay? Bellin, you can ask me as many questions as you want. You opened your home to me, Bellin. You have free reign of any questions at any time, 24 hours a day. Okay? Usually it's not easy to understand the movies in general, even English, especially British movies. Stavros, it just depends on the movie. It just depends on the movie. Okay? You have to find one that you can understand. There are plenty of them. You just have to find them. Okay? You know, I'll tell you one thing. Sometimes older movies are better, and I'll tell you why. In the 1960s and the 1970s, when they made movies, and any time before that, right? So before the I'll say mid 80s, early 90s. Before that, movies were filmed very differently. Many movies were filmed very differently. They had a lot more space, a lot more silence, and now movies are 1 second of video here, 3 seconds of video here, another second of video here, 2 seconds of video here, 5 seconds of video here. The angles are always changing in movies today. It annoys the crap out of me. It's so stupid. But if you watch old movies, they had one angle for most of the time, and it was just fine. Nobody thought it was too boring or too, that's the way you see life. You always see life in one view. So it's weird that we have Every single movie has to be so exciting by changing the camera angle every 2.5 seconds. And that also doesn't help your attention span. So, if you choose older movies, you might have a better chance of understanding because they actually put the camera on one person and they have a conversation, and you can watch it and listen to it without the cameras moving all over the place. Quality over quantity, of course. Of course. How is the word feisty usually used in casual English? Feisty. Feisty means like, for example, when I think of the word feisty, I think of like a little dog that has a big heart. Like a little dog the little dog that you see that's barking at the big, huge dog. There's a dog that's as big as a horse, and this little tiny dog is barking at this big dog. That's feisty. Feisty means that you have vigor, that you have will, that you have fight in you, that you're a fighter. You know, it's usually used in a somewhat positive sense. You know, if I say, oh yeah, she's feisty, that usually is a positive quality, I think. The way I see it, it means you're not weak-willed. You stand up for yourself. You say what you mean. You know, I think that's being feisty. I'm curious about the etymology. Let me look at the etymology of feisty. Aggressive, exuberant, touchy. From 1896. Oh, funny. Wait a minute. Does that really mean that? No, it doesn't. Does it really? Apparently the word feist, F-E-I-S-T, originally means a small dog. So that's where the meaning actually comes from. It's just like a small dog that has heart to fight, you know? Interesting. Funny. Okay. Is there any discrimination in my country? Of course there is. There's discrimination in every country because discrimination is a human problem. Humans occasionally discriminate in many ways. We discriminate if you're a man or if you're a woman. We discriminate if you're tall or if you're short. We discriminate if you're Asian or you're black or you're Hispanic or if you're white. Discrimination happens because because we're programmed to feel fear when we see things we don't know about. We're programmed evolutionarily inside. If you see something you've never seen before, that's new. New things are risky. Risky things are dangerous. So, that's why lots of people try to hang out in groups together. People that look the same, they act the same, they do the same because now they feel safer. Now, are you really safer? No, not really, but you've chosen, you've told yourself that this group of people makes me safer, but that group of people doesn't. Okay, so, but it's true everywhere. I promise you. Can I explain flammable and inflammable? Flammable, yeah, this is always a fun one. Well, flammable has the word flame in it, right? Um, so it's kind of funny. Why is flammable and inflammable the same meaning? Flammable means can be easily caught on fire, and so does inflammable. Um, so how did we end that, or how did we end up with that? Uh, Here's why you're confused. Because many words that have in the beginning, the in means not, right? That's what usually in the beginning of a word means. But in this case, the in the beginning is not from the word not. No. It's from the word inflame. To inflame something means to make it more flamed. Okay? Bigger flame. Okay? So, you take the word inflame and able. Able to be inflamed means able to be made bigger, like a bigger fire. Okay? But it's a common thing. People see the in and they think it means not. So it confuses them that why does the word flammable mean can be caught on fire and the word inflammable means can be caught on fire. Yeah. Okay? Okay, please be patient. I'm trying to keep up with all the comments, but there are too many. I'm falling behind. Vigorous means to have vigor. Vigor means like life, energy. And to have energy is to have vigor. Okay, so to be vigorous is to be energetic. Okay? Yeah, a vigorous athlete. Yeah, it means to have energy. Not power, but energy. Energetic. Okay? Even your parents may discriminate. Yeah, it happens. It happens. Vigorous is a good word, but feisty is neutral. Yeah, I kind of think so, but I don't know. I mean, I think it's neutral, but I think it does kind of have, at least in America, I think feisty is a word we sometimes use in a positive way. It's almost like sometimes when we say she's shy, and we say that like, ooh, that's like a bad thing. She's shy. She's just shy, right? Well, we do the opposite. For some people, we say, oh, she's feisty. She's feisty. She's not shy, right? So in that case, I feel like it's kind of a positive feeling, you know? She's not so shy that she's unwilling to say what she wants. You know, she'll speak up. You know? And it's not just about speaking. It's just to be feisty means that you're a fighter. You're always wanting to say your piece. You're always wanting to do things the way you want to do them. That's feisty. Okay? Vigoureux, that's a French word? Right. Actually, it's before French. It's Latin. It goes before French. Vigorous, vigor, vigor. Let's see. The Latin word vigorem means liveliness, activity, force. Yeah, so remember, French comes from Latin mostly. One meaning of feisty is being like assertive and speaking, and also means being like touchy. Yeah, it can. That's right. Yeah. Sometimes feisty means like, you know, hey, be careful what you say. She's feisty. She might argue with you or fight with you about it. But another one could mean like a person who's, you know, like, for example, maybe you have one student in class. I have a student in class who likes to raise their hand and kind of argue with me about things in a good way, not in a bad way. They have a viewpoint and they really want to defend it. So they vigorously argue with me. That's feisty. Okay? A blessing in disguise is an idiom that you can use anytime that something looks like it's bad. Something looks bad, but it's actually good for you. That's a blessing in disguise. Okay? So something that looks like it's bad for you on the outside, but really it's good. Okay? So Layla, I'm a perfectionist. I'm a bit crazy about that. You know, I do things too much. I think too much. But sometimes it's a curse, and sometimes it's a blessing in disguise. Sometimes my obsessive nature is an advantage for me. Okay? Difference between flammable and inflammable, something that's easily set on fire and something that's capable of burning. Yeah, that's semantics. I mean, come on. You know, yeah, you're right. You're right. Flammable means something that is possible to be inflamed, to catch fire. Sorry. Inflammable is something that's easily set on fire, to be inflamed. Right? But the point is that they both really mean pretty much the same thing, that they're things that can be caught on fire. They're things that can combust. Right? What does it feel like to be an American? It doesn't feel like anything. Because anyone can be an American. If you come here and you move here, guess what? You're an American. I should be proud. I'm proud. I'm proud of being a human. I'm proud of being a good person. I'm not proud of a country, because that's just land. When you go to the moon and you look down on the earth, do you see any lines? You don't. You don't. So I'm proud of being a human. I'm not proud of some lines that are drawn around land. That's weird. How can overthinking and perfectionism be an advantage? You have to learn how to use it well. You have to learn when it's appropriate and when it's an advantage and when it's holding you back. You have to try to understand when you are getting in your own way. That's it. Ah, yeah, Stavros is from Greece, right? Or is that... No, not Greece. Is that Crete, Stavros? You mean you're not? Okay. You're proud as a Chinese. Look, that's fine. That's fine. But it's still silly. It's just silly. If you went to the moon and I asked you to draw the lines of your country on the earth, you couldn't do it. You couldn't do it. You could try, but you wouldn't do it well. It would be like drawing a map of, by hand of your country. Good luck. So look, I don't want to get political. I'm just trying to say, that when I think of being proud, I don't think of my country. I think of being proud of the things I do, not the things that the country did. You don't have any part of the value of your country. You have the part of the value of you. So if you are proud of your country, then develop yourself. That's my point. That you should be worried about developing yourself as a human, as a character, as a person. You shouldn't be developing yourself as a Chinese person or as an American person or as a Japanese person. You should be developing yourself as a person. That's all. And I've got news for you. Your culture is my culture. My culture is your culture. Because guess what? The piece of land that you're standing on is the same piece of land that I'm standing on. Do you understand that? We are standing on the same land. We are. I'm on the other side of the earth, but it's connected. Cultures are completely different. I don't agree, Huda. I don't agree. If I got married to an Arabic woman, then I could join that culture and I could fit in. If I got married to a Chinese woman, I could join that culture and I could fit in if I want to. Okay? So, culture is a mix of people. Huda. For example, Huda. If you go to Mexico, they have a kind of taco in Mexico. And that taco is called al pastor. Al pastor tacos. Okay? But if I showed it to you, if I showed you what it looked like, you would look at it and you would say, wait a minute. That's shawarma or doner. That's not a taco. That's shawarma. Do you know why it looks like shawarma? Because a long time ago there was a family from Lebanon and they moved to Mexico. And when they were in Mexico, they brought that part of their culture to Mexico. Now, they decided to sell the meat that is popular there. So they used either chicken or pork to use because that's what's popular. Okay? And so, if you go there, you can still get the most popular taco is the al pastor taco. I think, at least in America, it's one of the most popular. And it's got this wonderful connection between Lebanon and Mexico. And guess what, Huda? In my city, our most famous food is called Skyline Chili. And it's a special food because it came from a family that was from Macedonia, like north of Greece. Right? So here's Greece and Macedonia's up here. Okay? And that family came to America and they brought their recipes and they mixed them with our foods and created a new food that's special. It's new. It's completely different. You can't find it over in Europe. You can't find it in Macedonia. You can only find it here. culture is a blend. Culture is a blend. Huda, how do you say the word pants in Arabic? How do you say the word pants in Arabic? Pants. Pantalon. And how do you say them in Spanish? Pantalones. And how do you say them in English? Pants. So, again, culture, mixing. Look at that. The languages are mixing too. Okay? And Huda, if you go to the Middle East, who made the first falafel? Who made the first hummus? You guys argue about that viciously. You argue over and over again. We made it first. No, we made grape leaves first. No, we made grape leaves first. No, we made hummus first. No, we made baba ganoush first. That's because it's all a mix of a culture. It's stupid to talk about lines of countries. It's a culture. Culture's not about country. Culture's a mix of people coming together. You know? Pizza. Ornella, pizza is also one of those ones that, if you look back at the history, it's really hard to genuinely say it's only Italian, because many cultures have had flat bread with toppings. Many cultures, especially the two that argue about that is the Greeks and the Italians, because both cultures have had some sort of flat bread with something on it for thousands of years. You know, I don't know, a long time, right? So, right, that's what I'm saying. Pizza is it's you know, it's flatbread. And do you know how many cultures have flatbread? You know, so I think that pizza is known as being Italian because the Italian version of it is the best version of it. But I think that there are many cultures that did also have a similar thing at the same time, or maybe even earlier. You know, they just didn't get as popular. They just didn't get as popular. And who made noodles? Italians love noodles, right? But where do noodles come from? Where does pasta come from? Actually, this one's kind of funny. Hold on, let me find that article. So China definitely had it the earliest, but the pasta from Italy was actually created first in Sicily. Sicily is the island off of the coast of Italy, southwest of Italy, in the Mediterranean Ocean. And guess who did it? Guess who brought it there? Arabs. Arabs are the ones who actually created pasta. Pasta got created in Sicily, and then it spread throughout, and then it became really, really popular. So culture is a mix. Culture is a blend. Don't even get me started on music. Music is, again, a huge blend. Huda, when you listen to music right now, do you listen to traditional music? Do you listen to only traditional music from Morocco? Or do you listen to modern Arabic music? Too many things? Okay, but all of the modern Arabic music, you understand that that's a mix of Western music, right? they took all the Western music, like dance music, like pop music, like electronic techno, and they mixed it with Arabic music. So once again, your culture is my culture. My culture is your culture. Every time you dance to that song, those drum parts, the drums were created in America. The drum set that's an American invention. So yeah, everything's a mix. If you study it enough, you'll find that culture is such a wonderfully beautiful mix. There's so many things: music and art and dance and fashion, and it's all a mix. Believe me, it's a mix. And again, Huda, the clothes that I wear, where are they made? Are they made here? No, not most of them. They're made someplace else, in China or in Bangladesh or in Vietnam. Somebody's job is to make those clothes. That's part of their cultures, their work, and I'm wearing it. Right? So we're all connected in far more ways than you realize. You know, the computers that I'm using right now, where did the parts come from? Where were they built? Where were they made? You know? We like to think that we're different. We like to say we're special. But being special doesn't need to be exclusionary. Being special doesn't need to be exclusionary. So just because your culture is special doesn't mean you need to feel like, I can't consider, no, this is not part of me. You're out. You're excluded. That's not Arabic culture. If they're using a microphone, that's modern technology that came from the West, that was from, Western broadcast. So again, there are just too many levels, too many layers. Everything is mixed. Everything is, we're blended. At this point, we are blended. We just need to accept it. We need to acknowledge it, We need to acknowledge it. That's controversial, actually. What's controversial? But cultural concepts vary. Yeah. So, let me ask you a question. How many races are there on the planet? How many races? Not 5. Nope. 1. Because there is no such thing as race, there is only species. Huda, if you need a heart, and I have a heart, do you want my heart? It's only one race, only one species, human. That's the way I see it. What if mine doesn't function correctly? Huda, you're making excuses. What if it does function correctly? What if I have a perfect heart? What if my heart is better than your heart? But I'm not Arabic, so does that mean you don't want my heart? Or if you took my heart, would it work in your body? It would. Biologically, it's more of a spectrum. Larry, it's not. It's not. Humans have various physical characteristics that are very varying difference of height and color and weight and size and all kinds of different variations, but they are variations of the same species. So the spectrum is a spectrum of humanity. It's not a spectrum of races. Okay? What environmental problem do I think is the worst? Humans. We are the biggest environmental problem. Waste. Humans and waste. Yeah. And economics that drives waste. Yeah, that's the biggest environmental problem. Mentally, they're definitely different, Alex. How? So, Alex, does that mean if you are born in China, but then you move to America and you live your whole life in America, will you be mentally different because you were born in China? That's all nurture versus nature, Alex. Do you know that? Nurture versus nature. So nature says we are not mentally different. We're all potentially roughly the same. Nurture says that we're different. Nurture says that we all have different experiences, and our experiences shape us in different ways. So, we're not born more closed or more open. We're born and we're an open book ready to be written. But then you start writing, and that's when things change. That's the nature. I'm sorry. That's the nurture part of it. Okay, nurture versus nature. Is there a difference between race and ethnicity? Yes and no. Hold on. So race is usually the thing that we talk about when we're talking about social constructs of differences, right? So the things that you think are physically different that make us different, that's race. Okay, but let me say that again. The things that you think make us different, they don't actually make us different, but that's what you think. Okay, that's race. But ethnicity is actually the shared cultural characteristics of something, like language and religion and traditions. That's part of your ethnicity. Okay? So, for example, you could be, maybe you're black and you grew up in the United States, right? And you have family maybe in Africa, let's say. Okay? Ethnically, you come from that family, right? Ethnically, you come from that group, right? You're from that culture, ethnically, but you're now in a different culture. Understand? Okay? I tried to do the best I could. But all I can say, people, is the differences between us are not what you think. The differences between us are nearly all mental differences that are created. Any differences of matter are mostly created by us. They're what we call constructs. They're what we call constructs. Okay? Is there a difference between Italian and Japanese? Alex, yes and no. Okay? If a Japanese person dies and they have organs that the Italian person needs, can they use them? Yes, they can. If a Japanese person needs to eat food and they go to Italy, can they eat Italian food and live? Yes, they can. If an Italian person goes to Japan and they eat Japanese food, can they live? Yes, they can. Can an Italian person move to Japan and live in Japan? Yes, they can. They do. Can a Japanese person move to Italy and live in Italy and grow up there? Yes, they can and do. So, culturally, there are many differences, but cultures are created, they're constructs. So we're talking about a difference between anatomy and physiology of human race, the species, sorry, not race, let's say species, the human species, okay? And then we're also talking about cultural differences. And cultural differences are chosen differences. You choose that. That's the culture in some way, okay? Maybe it's chosen for you, right? Your parents say, you're this, right? Wherever you grow up. Why are most people here Christian? Because their parents are Christian. Why are most people in the Middle East Muslim? Because their parents are Muslim. That's the way that works. Wherever you are born, that's what you get. That's what they tell you you are. But you can move, and now everything's different. All right? Marius' dad, that's funny. Hello, Ben Bean. Bonsoir. We have different cultures and languages. Yes, we do. We do. But guess what? I can eat Chinese food and love it, and you can eat a hamburger and love it. So we can appreciate each other's cultures. Okay? 我会说中文，你也会说英文，这是文化。为什么你说英文？现在你说英文，为什么？这是不是你的英语？可是现在你要说。现在我要说中文，我可以啊。Okay? Many countries do speak English. Yeah, sure. Yeah, 我会说中文. Is hamburger American? That's a good question, Martine. Yes and no. Hamburgers were created first in America, but they were created by immigrants, of course, because America is a country of immigrants, right? And the meat that they used for a hamburger is chopped beef, right? So it's beef that's been chopped up, right? So that kind of beef, chopped beef, a long time ago, that was called Hamburg-style meat, because Hamburg, Germany, the city of Hamburg, Germany, in that region at that time, chopped meat was part of the way they cooked. Sometimes they would use chopped beef. Okay? So hamburgers is meat cooked in the style of Hamburg. But the first one was made in America. Food history is one of my hobbies. I know a lot about food history. So, and especially because, again, many stories of food history are just like that. They're stories about, like, French fries, Martine. French fries are not French. But why do we call them French fries? Because there were a lot of Belgian immigrants in America a long time ago from Belgium. And what do they speak in Belgium? They speak French a lot, right? And what do they eat? What is one of the most popular foods in Belgium? Pommes frites. Pommes frites, it's French fries. So, we saw some people eating fried potatoes and speaking French. So we said, oh, French fries. Okay? Yeah, name a food, I'll tell you about it if I can. What about shawarma? What about it? You want to know what do you want to know about shawarma? Beijing 烤鸭, mm-hmm. 好吃. Okay, Stan. Yeah. Is it Syrian or Turkish? No one knows. No one knows. Food history is a lot like word history. Sometimes it's very clear where a word comes from, and we say, oh, that's where it comes from. Sometimes it's not very clear, that it could come from here, or it could come from here, it could come from here, or it could be a mix. Food is often that way. So any foods of the Levant, any foods from the Levant, and a lot of foods in the Mediterranean region, those are foods that are so old that it's almost impossible to say who did it first. It's almost impossible. You know, now there are some I think that they can claim, but like grape leaves, who made grape leaves first? Nobody knows. Hummus, who made hummus first? Nobody really knows. You know, you know, it's too old. It could be that you don't know. Maybe somebody made it before you. You know, so. When you are stronger, other people will study from you, including language. That has nothing to do with why people learn English. People learn English because English is a common language. That's why. It has nothing to do with power. It has a little to do with cultural dominance, but that has nothing to do with power either. It's really just a matter of, well, somebody's got to be first, right? There's always someone who's first, right? And whoever that is, they're going to dominate, right? What about pizzas in Italian or Egyptian? Again, I just said earlier, most people say it's between Greece and Italy. Most people credit the Italians, but there is a debate about who had it first. Now, again, flatbread with stuff on it, that's everywhere. Every culture has flatbread with some stuff on it. It's pretty close to pizza, right? You won't be alive when they reach their... What? What are we talking about? Why do I feel like I'm lost? What are we talking about here? Someone's opening a live stream for teaching English for beginners. What's my advice? Keep it simple. Don't do too much. Like, just play that that website game, gamesToLearnEnglish.com. Just do that with them. Just do that. That's all. Hey, Stan, watch your language, all right? Stan, this is a classroom. I'm a teacher. That's my name, Teacher Mark. I'm a real teacher. I'm going to have to insist that if you're in my room, you have to use classroom language. All right? I use bad words. I do. I like them. But not in my class. All right? You believe the dominance of the English language is related to the dominance of the British language? Well, yeah, it is. That's true. That is true. You're right. Okay. In that sense, historically, yeah, colonialism had a lot to do with the spread of the English language. But from a modern standpoint, why is English popular now is less to do with that and more to do with what's called common languages, which means that if I go to China, can I find somebody who speaks Spanish? Yeah, of course I could. But can I find somebody who speaks English much more easily? Yes, because it's just a more popular language. So what that means is, if you're from China and you go to India and somebody from Japan is in India and you're both in India and you don't speak their language and they don't speak your language, but you both speak English. So it's just a language of common communication internationally. Okay? So yeah, you're right. Colonialism, which was terrible. You have to remember, America was a colony too. We were started as a colony. Okay? So yeah, you're correct. Historically, of course, that does have a great deal to do with it. I'm just talking about now. Okay? What are native dishes to the U.S. or to my state? Franco, to my state, we have a few, but my city is famous for something called Skyline Chili. Skyline Chili would be one food that's from my city. But again, it's from my city, from an immigrant family that came from Macedonia. Right? So my country is a country of people from everywhere. That's what we do. We mix cultures here. And at this point, why is English so popular? It has more to do with Hollywood. It really has more to do with Hollywood than colonialism. You know, TV shows, movies. That's why it's so popular. And Spanish too, right? Why do the people in South America speak Spanish? That's not their language. It is now. It is now. Okay? But if you went to Mexico 1,000 years ago, there was no Spanish. Why don't Italians like ketchup on pasta or pizza? Because ketchup, first of all, Larry, here's another good one. Ketchup, where does the word ketchup come from? Ketchup is a Chinese word. It actually comes from a Proto-Indo-European, Indo-Chinese. An Indo-Chinese language from a long time ago. Catsup. Catsup was the word that meant fish sauce in Southeast Asia a long time ago. Okay? And sailors, a lot of Dutch and British and European sailors would travel through Asia, for trade, right? So the Europeans would come to Southeast Asia for trade, and when they were there, they would hear them using a sauce, and every time they used the sauce, they would call it catsup, catsup. So they knew that the word catsup meant sauce, okay? And then they took that word back to England, and then Heinz, H-E-I-N-Z, the Heinz company, I believe, was one of the first ones who created the modern version of what we call ketchup now. But ketchup has nothing to do with Italy at all. Ketchup has nothing to do with Italy at all, okay? And the sauce that we call ketchup has nothing to do with the sauce that was made in China. So the name is where the name comes from Southeast Asia. The flavor comes from England. But where do tomatoes come from? Where do tomatoes come from? Not Spain. Kind of. They come from Mexico. The word tomato comes from an old language called Nahuatl. Nahuatl is an early Mexican language. And the word tomato comes from the old word tomatl, which it means, what's the word? It means the fruit that bursts or that grows, right? Because tomatoes, they get bigger and fatter, right? So tomatoes, when you think of ketchup, you think of tomatoes, but tomatoes didn't exist in Europe before Columbus. Columbus brought tomatoes to Europe. So guess what? Before Columbus, Italian food had no tomatoes. There were no tomatoes at all in all of Europe. Okay? And by the way, Thai food. Who likes Thai food here? Do you guys like Thai food? And Thai food, they use those little tiny chili peppers, right? They like those little chili peppers in Thai food, right? Guess where those come from? Also America. It's called the Columbian Exchange. The Columbian Exchange is a term that refers to when Columbus came to America, he brought a lot of things from Europe to America that we did not have before. And when he went back to Europe, he brought a lot of things to Europe that they did not have before. Chocolate, tomatoes, sugar, right? They had sugar before, but they were making sugar from sugar cane and they had a lot more of it now. So sugar became really, really popular. Sugar became so popular that the Queen of England at the time, all of her teeth were black. All of her teeth were black because of how much sugar she ate. Yeah. Anyway, it's kind of funny. You know, Italian food, you think of pizza with tomatoes on it, or tomato sauce, right? Or pasta with tomato sauce. But tomatoes come from Mexico. They said tomatoes did not look like this as they do now. That's not entirely true. No, they looked pretty much the same. Tomatoes have been... We have genetically made them bigger. We've genetically changed them a little bit. But tomatoes look pretty much the same as they did. There are some plants that have changed a lot, like eggplant has changed a lot. But tomatoes pretty much the same as they were back then, from everything I've read. Let's see. And the funny thing about tomatoes, when they brought tomatoes to Europe, the rich people would not eat them. The rich people thought they were poison. So they called them poison apples. When they first got there, tomatoes were called poison apples, and the rich people wouldn't eat them. But there's a really funny story. Why did they think that they were poison? Rich people and poor people had two different kinds of plates that they ate on. Poor people would eat on wooden plates. Wooden plates. Rich people, they ate on pewter plates. Pewter. Do you guys know what pewter is? What is pewter? Blake! Look, Blake is here. Hello, Blake. And Flavia, I'm sorry, I missed your comment. What is bland? Bland means not much flavor. Yes, in British English they call eggplant aubergine. That's right. Yeah. Yeah. Why do they call it an eggplant if it doesn't look like an egg? Because it did. Originally, the first eggplants were white, and they looked like little eggs on the plant. That's exactly what they look like. Google it. Just type in white eggplant, and you'll see it. Okay, so pewter. Pewter is a kind of metal. I'm sorry, let me finish my story. Pewter is a kind of metal. It's a soft metal, and part of the... How do you make pewter? To make pewter, you need lead. Pewter is a kind of metal, and to make it, you need lead. And what do we know about lead? Is lead good for you? Lead is poison. That's correct. Now here's what happened. When the poor people were eating the tomatoes, on wooden plates. And the wood was safe to eat that way. You could eat the plate, you could eat the tomato, and it was safe on that kind of plate. But when you eat a tomato on a pewter plate, tomatoes are very acidic. They have acid in them. So the acid would react with the metal in the plate and release the lead, making them poison. So the rich people were eating them and dying because they were eating them on the plates, the pewter plates with lead. The poor people were eating them on wooden plates and they were fine. Yeah. There are a lot of pictures on the internet that show purely white apples. If you search white apple, is that made up? I'm not sure. I know there is a pure black apple that's real. Let me see. Probably it's real because genetically you can do anything anymore. Yes, white apples are real and exist in several varieties. Yeah, ghost apples, white pearmain apples, and white cloud apples. So there are at least 3 or 4 kinds of white apples. Okay? It comes from French. What comes from French? The word pewter? Is that what we're talking about? You can't understand. Yeah. Right, it comes from French. That's right. The word aubergine does come from French. You're correct. Yeah. What was the other thing? I was going to say something else and I forgot. Oh, Jun. Let me see if I can explain this in Chinese. It's going to be hard. Let me think. So, Jun. Let me think of my answer.在欧洲，很多人，前人，他们如果他们吃番茄，他们有很病，有事了，因为他们的盘子里面，他们的盘子就是那个清灰的。还是白蜡的，你知道白蜡吗？ 所以百辣就是那个不可以吃，就是有毒的。可是很多人，如果他们是他们没有钱，他们我忘记，他们很 poor, very poor people。如果他们吃番茄，他们用他们的盘子是木头的盘子。如果你吃番茄，在木头的盘子里还是上面他们就是 OK， 没关系，可以吃。Okay, I did my best. Do you understand? I tried to explain it as best I could. Okay. That was hard to explain in Chinese though. It was very hard to explain. No, not eggplant. No. Tomatoes. And the tomato was not poison. It was the plate. The plates were poison. All right, let's see now. I missed some comments. Please be patient. Why does Spanish have a festival for the tomato? Because they're so important in the culture now. That's all. That's all. Because they're so important in the culture now. But tomatoes did not exist. Just do a search. You'll see. Where does the word tomato come from? It comes from an old language from where? Mexico. Because that's where tomatoes are from. Okay? I'm not lying. I promise. Okay? Did I use the N-word? No. Morning. In Chinese, there is a word that sounds like the N-word. It's not the N-word. The word that, when you say that in Chinese is nega. Nega this, nega that, right? So sometimes you'll hear people saying, maybe they're trying to remember a word, right? They can't think of the word and they'll say, nega. And that just means that thing, that thing. What's that thing? Right? So no, I didn't use the N-word, and I would never. Okay? It's a common mistake that sometimes people hear that term naga and they think it sounds the same, but it clearly has no relationship at all to it. Okay? The N-word is extremely offensive, and I would never use it. But this word has nothing to do with it. Okay? Is the surface of the plate toxic? Yeah, just the plate itself is made of a metal that would be toxic if you eat tomatoes on it. Okay? And yes, I have a Taiwanese accent because that's where I learned Chinese, in Taiwan. And yes, David, that's correct. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, good. All right. Can you eat tomatoes in my country? Of course you can. Yeah, we eat them all the time. I grow them in my garden. Yeah, so look, now you can see. My Chinese is not that good because there were lots of words that I did not know the word, so I couldn't explain it very clearly, right? But I just did the best I could. I tried to imagine, what can I say? Instead of trying to say it perfectly, I just try to say it somehow, But you understood, okay? So what do Italians put on pasta? Larry, Italians, if you want to make a really good Italian pasta sauce, you need some fresh tomatoes. Get some really good fresh tomatoes from your garden. Get a little bit of garlic and a little bit of basil, josanta. Okay? Take the basil and pull the leaves off the basil And then the stem, put the stem, heat up some olive oil. Olive oil, Larry. Nishia Yong. Okay? You need good olive oil. And then put the stem in the olive oil and heat that up. Put the garlic in the olive oil for about 1 minute. And then put your tomatoes into the olive oil and cook all of that together for about 20 minutes. Maybe 30 minutes, tops. Okay? And that will all come together to make a beautiful, simple, delicious pasta sauce. Maybe you need to add a little bit of salt or sugar or both. But sometimes I don't do that. It depends on the flavor of the tomatoes. Okay? Chinese as a language is racist. Morning. Yeah, right. You're selling your Medeli drums? Medeli, I don't think I've ever heard of that. Where are they from? Do I feel pressure saying Naga? No. No, I don't feel any pressure saying it because I know that it's not that word. And I would never say that word. I would never. Okay? Not ever. So, yeah. I don't feel any pressure. No, I just have to explain it to people. That's all. You just have to understand that that word sounds like something that's not. That's all. Tomato sauce, pesto, olive oil, garlic, hot peppers, many other kinds of sauce. Yeah, right. Yeah, right. Yeah, that's right, Ornella. Did I lose some weight? I don't think so. I think I still need to lose more. Yeah. Yeah, don't forget the olive oil. The olive oil is very important. What's a popular food in the USA? Do you know what the most popular food to order in the United States is? Takeout food. Take a guess. What do you think are the top three? What do you think are the top three most popular foods in the U.S.? You got two of them. Pizza is number one. Burgers is number two. Guess what number three is? Chinese food. We have a lot of Chinese restaurants. A lot. Okay, now, they make American Chinese food. It's American, it's different. Yeah, 对, yeah, 宫保鸡丁, 对, yeah. Stuff like that, right? It's slightly different. Some of the foods are the same, some are different, okay? There are maybe 4 or 5 restaurants in my city that have traditional, real, authentic Chinese food, like Sichuan food or something like that, Hunan food, whatever. But most of the Chinese restaurants in America serve American-style Chinese food, which is a bit different. Okay? What about KFC? KFC is more popular in China than it is in America. There are more KFCs in China than in America. Do I like all Chinese tea? Not all of it. I've tried a lot of them, and there have been a few that I've been like, not for me. But most of them, yeah. Most of them. What about McDonald's? What about McDonald's? I can't remember the last time I even went to McDonald's. It's been at least 10 years, probably. At least in the United States. It should be upgraded for Chinese dishes in the U.S. Well, I agree. I wish they would. Sometimes I go there and I ask them to make me something, like a real Chinese dish, right? But Americans are becoming much, much, much better, I think, about trying international foods. Almost every American eats international food regularly. So I think that maybe there are more people who are becoming more familiar with real traditional foods and not just the American version. But yes, Americans love Chinese food. Chow fan, Gong Bao Ji Ding, Jiaozi, Chow Mian. My father, when my father was younger, he took a cooking class from a guy named Martin Yan. Martin Yan is a very famous Chinese chef, and he was really famous in America in the 80s and 90s. Really famous. And he brought Chinese cooking to America. He cooked it on TV. We would watch him and say, Martin Yan would come on TV. He was so funny, this guy. I love this guy. He'd say, today we're going to make beef hole fun. Beef hole fun is very fun. He was hilarious. I loved him. And he made food that looked delicious, and it was fun. It was exciting. It was great. Yeah. So, yes, China has many kinds of food. 我知道. What kind of food makes Chinese people love Chinese food? I don't know what that means. Can I eat spicy food? 我爱吃辣. 我爱吃辣. 我喜欢吃大辣的. So, 可以啊. 在我的城市，我有一个餐厅，他们就是四川的餐厅，他们有如果我去，我要买那个夫妻肺片跟担担面跟豆花鱼，还是重庆麻辣鸡。都是非常辣。So they asked me if I like spicy food, and I told them I love it, and I eat this and this and this and this. And hello, Maythandar. We guess it's easy to cook for normal dishes in daily life in the U.S., but Chinese dishes seem complicated to cook. Vivi, I think that's not correct. Let me put it to you this way, that whenever I cook for Chinese people, they are always really shocked and surprised at how much time it takes. Because most Chinese food is cooked very quickly. Most Chinese food is cooked very quickly and very hot, right? Doesn't take that much time. Some does, but not most, right? Especially the stuff people make at home. Most of the things people make at home, it's pretty fast. But when I cook dinner, it's usually going to take an hour or more for American food. To cook dinner is usually an hour or more, depending on what I'm making. Sometimes it might be 4 hours or 12 hours if I'm making barbecue. Okay? Have I ever eaten Cao's duck neck? No. 还没吃. Hello, Athena. Do I know Mr. Okoloko? No. That can be super spicy. Okay. Oh yeah, I love Sichuan hot pot. Yeah. If I get hot pot, I always get malatang. Yeah. Yeah, Sichuan hot pot is my favorite. I would like to try Iranian food sometime. Hannah, you can just call that, it's usually called Beijing duck. Beijing, but there are some other kinds. One moment, everybody. Go ahead. Okay, I need to get going. It's almost 2 hours. Let me see if there's any other comments here. Why do Western people like to drink iced water? Why do Chinese people not drink iced water? Well, I know the answer is because you guys think that cold things are bad for the body and hot things are good for the body. We think, Larry, it's very simple. If it is hot outside, then I want to drink something cold. If it is cold outside, then I want to drink something hot. It's pretty simple. Okay, but look what I have right here. Water. Is there any ice in that water? No. I like ice sometimes, but today's not very hot, so I don't have any ice in it. Okay? You saw many foreigners in Haidao who don't know how to use chopsticks. "我是鼓手，所以我可以啊。我有好大的筷子。Okay. What's the next question? Can I explain what abecedarian is? Oh, I love that word. Sure. It's easy, actually. Abecedarian means ABC. So if it's arranged alphabetically, then it's abecedarian. A, B, C. Abec. Okay? Using chopsticks is not so hard. You just need to practice. And I eat all different foods from the world. Yes, I do. Cooking Chinese food takes longer than sandwiches. Well, that's true, maybe. Depends on the sandwich. But it depends on the Chinese food, too. Chao fan? 非常 No, 不是，这是很快，非常快。炒面非常快。老师，美国人吃中啊？还是在美国，他们如果呢，他们用如果他们去那个中国的餐厅，他们用筷子，给你筷子。OK， 可是，在他们的家，如果他们是中国人，在美国，可是他们用筷子，如果他们是中国人，住在美国，可是美国人不是 ，No， 我们不用 ，OK，I do。You know, I think many Americans, we have chopsticks at home, okay? But we only use them when we eat Chinese food. So we use forks and knives usually. But if we eat Chinese food, then I use chopsticks. Do I like Arabic food? I like food. I don't care where it's from. I only care if it's yummy. Okay, now, I see some people asking me questions. Jafar, do you know why I didn't answer your question? Are you still here, Jafar? That's why I didn't answer your question. You're a beginner. Okay, that's fine, Jafar. So, you're in a good place, Jafar. I have about 82,000 followers, almost 83,000 followers here on Hello Talk. They follow me to learn English. Stop asking the question. I know your question, okay? But I can't answer it because it's a big question. But if you come here and you watch me, I teach about grammar, I teach about vocabulary, I teach about pronunciation, I teach about reading and writing and listening and speaking and fluency. Okay? I teach. Okay? But you can't get everything right now. It's like the Rolling Stones said. You can't always get what you want. You can try sometimes. But sometimes you get what you need. Not what you want. You get what you need. There are 152 people here right now. All of them want to learn English. All of them are trying. Okay? Jafar? Yeah, so just follow and start paying attention and writing make some notes and pay attention. Okay? Do I know any person studying psychology as a specialty really need to exchange? My father is a psychologist. I like to consider myself an amateur enthusiast of psychology. But I would say that there are a lot of Americans who can use chopsticks pretty well, I think. You know? I think a lot of Americans think it's fun. Like, let me try. I'm going to try to learn how to use it. So they practice until they can. And they like to feel like, oh, look, I can do this thing. Okay? Nautical English. What about nautical English? Are you going sailing, Victor? There are many English words that do come from nautical terms. Like under the weather. Or, what's another good one? What is it? Buckle down. Buckle down is another one that comes from nautical English. If you want to find me, you can go here and you can find everything. Okay? You can find my WeChat, you can find my website, you can find my blog, you can find my YouTube. Everything is there. Okay? Go right there. You need someone to exchange. I can't help you. Sorry. Can't help you. When I'm speaking, you can't what? If you want to study something today, all you need is ChatGPT and curiosity. If you want to study anything today. You know? So, I was just reading about a Roman orator named Quintilian. I saw a quote by this man named Quintilian, who was a Roman orator, and he seemed interesting, so I wanted to know more about him. So I asked ChatGPT to tell me everything that it can about Quintilian and about his role in Roman oration, in the principles of Roman speaking, public speaking. Psychology is very important for today's time, that's true. My father is a clinical psychologist, retired, but he was a clinical psychologist for 50-some years. ChatGPT and curiosity, Aya. Those are the two things you need to learn now. All you need is your curiosity and ChatGPT. Jun, 我觉得如果你听我，一些你可以听得懂，一些你不可以听得懂，没关系啊，就是 OK， 试试看。Okay? Does my father teach? He doesn't teach. He did teach for a little while, a long time ago, but no, he doesn't teach. He's retired now. He rests. That's what he does. He rests. Sometimes curiosity is good, but sometimes is it a panic? I think that there is more to worry about not using your curiosity than there is to worry about using it and getting in trouble. Let me say that again. If you don't use your curiosity, that is a huge, 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 huge problem. If you use your curiosity and occasionally get into trouble because of it, that is a problem, but it's not a huge problem. So if you have a choice of, I don't want to use my curiosity because I might get in trouble, that's a big problem. That's way up here. That's a big problem. Okay? Or I'm going to use my curiosity, and sometimes I'm going to learn a lot, and sometimes I might make a mistake and get in trouble. That's a problem down here. It's not the same. Okay? It's not the same. You can't use ChatGPT as an academic source. Are you talking about for school? I'm not talking about for school. I'm talking about for learning, for yourself. Okay? The only reason why you can't use ChatGPT for school is because you just said it's an untrusted source. And that's only true if you don't know how to use ChatGPT well. If you know how to use it well, then it is a trusted source. But you have to tell it to give you sources. And then you have to check each source. Okay? When I use ChatGPT, it's a process of finding the truth. It's not just I ask it and it gives me the truth. No. I have to find the truth in the answers it gives. Okay? But, Sammy, I'm an English teacher. Okay? And I'm telling you that I think that ChatGPT is a very trusted source if you use it properly. If you use it properly. Okay? It's a kind of tool, but not a final answer. Yes. Right. I find it so funny how many people are trying to argue about whether ChatGPT is valuable or not. It processes statistics of words. That's true. But guess what, Rodrigo? So do you. How do you form language? By statistics of words. It's the same exact thing. You do the same thing it does. How do you answer anything? You answer anything with the data that you have available to you in your mind. And you think about it and you put together your answer and you tell somebody. And occasionally you're wrong. So is ChatGPT. But it just has a lot more information than you do. A lot more. Like billions of times more. Yeah. June says DeepSeek is better than ChatGPT. DeepSeek is better in maybe a few ways. ChatGPT is definitely better than DeepSeek for some things. But, June, is rock music better than jazz music? No. Rock music is rock music and jazz music is jazz music. They're both good. So guess what? I have DeepSeek and I have ChatGPT. Who said you can't use both? Okay? So use both. 如果你要用 DeepSeek 可以啊，你也可以用 ChatGPT 如果你用 VPN 也可以啊 OK 都可以都是很棒 OK they're both amazing just use them don't argue about which one is better OK what I tell you is if you have a Ferrari if you have a Ferrari, a sports car, very fast, very expensive, and I have a cheap car. It's old, it's cheap, it's not good. But guess what? I'm a better driver than you. So you have a car that's much better than my car. But I know how to drive better than you. So I can drive better than you. So what does that mean? Sometimes it's not about what you use, it's about how you use it. So even if DeepSeek is better, it doesn't mean that the way you use it is better. ChatGPT or DeepSeek, AI is only as smart as you are. AI is only as smart as you are. Okay? By the way, if this might interest you, in the entire world, how many people do you think use ChatGPT? How many people use ChatGPT? Not many. Are you kidding? Are you kidding, Ravi? Yeah, probably close to billions at this point. There are lots of people using AI and ChatGPT. So, guess what? This guy right here, this guy you're looking at right now, I am one of the 0.1% users of ChatGPT. What that means is I use ChatGPT more than most people do, and I use it better than most people do. That's a statistical thing that I've proven with data. So I use it obsessively, but I use it in a very, very obsessive way. So because I have an obsessive mind, my use of ChatGPT is obsessive. And because it's obsessive, it's much, much more accurate than you. You ask it one question and then you don't like the answer and you're done. I ask it one question, I don't like the answer, and then I ask it 100 more questions. And I'm not exaggerating. Okay? I'm not exaggerating. Each of AI may have itself an advantage in some special industry. That's right. That's right. Yeah. So the best answer is stop arguing about which one is better. Just use them all. Stop arguing about which one is better and just use them all. Okay, I use Gemini, I use Manus, I use ChatGPT, I use Sono, I use Kindroid, I use almost all the big ones. Okay, but I don't use it to be lazy, I use it to be obsessive. That's the difference. So most people, when they use ChatGPT, their questions are about 200 characters long. When I use ChatGPT, my questions are about 4,329 characters long. It's a little different. If you're only giving it 250 characters, you're not really giving it much. But if you give it 4,000, now you're telling it more. Now you're going to get a better answer. Okay? Okay. Hello, Miguel. How are you, my friend? By the way, Miguel, can you tell me, does the microphone sound okay right now in ChatGPT? I'm sorry, in YouTube? Does the microphone sound funny at all? Metallic-y? I noticed, I found a live stream where I heard that noise that you're talking about. I heard the voice that's kind of metally sounding. I have no idea what that is because nothing in my settings is set like that. So I have no idea how that became that way. I think it might be a HelloTalk problem, actually. So, okay, guys, guess what? It's been 2 hours and 20 minutes, and it's time for me to go because it's almost noon and I need to eat lunch and start working. I need to be productive. AI is like a human who has many kinds of knowledge and information. That's right. That's right, June. Yes. So, now, 24 hours a day, there is someone who can answer your questions about anything. So ask. Just see what it says. Maybe it's useful. Okay? Maybe it's useful. Am I saying about precision? When I talk about being obsessive, you mean? Kind of. Part of it is precision. Yeah. Part of it is tenacity. Tenacity is a word that means that you don't give up easily. You fight. So when ChatGPT, when I ask it a question and it says, "Oh, you're so smart. That's the most amazing thing I've ever heard. You're so brilliant. That's correct in so many ways. Let me tell you why that's right." After it tells me that, I say, "I don't believe you. Prove it. And stop telling me that I'm amazing." I will argue with it. I argue with it until I'm certain that the answers are correct. Okay? Oh, thank you very much, Ron. I appreciate you telling me that. And how are you, Ron? What is this one? Oh, it's not working anymore. That's all right. Let's see. Excuse me. Live streaming is the teacher's side job. Work is such a stupid concept. You are not what you do. You are what you are. So, I do anything that I can do. I'm a drummer. Yep, I'm a drummer. I'm a teacher. Yep, I'm a teacher. I also cook pretty well. And I've also done marketing work pretty well. So, everything is a side job when you don't think of defining yourself by your work. I don't think of myself as my work. I think of myself as me. ChatGPT is a kind of AI. AI means artificial intelligence. There are many kinds of artificial intelligence. Okay? All right, I do need to go. I'm hungry now. So, have a good morning, have a good afternoon, have a good evening. Thank you guys for watching and following. If you didn't go to it yet, you should go to my website, go to my blog. Go to my blog and read my blog. And please do me a favor. Hit the like button on my blog. Many people are reading the articles, but they're not clicking the like button. On the article, on the website, click the article like button. And maybe leave a comment. Leave a comment. Okay, here, I'll give it to you. One moment. Where is my blog website? Let me give it to you, and you can go to it. There it is. This is my blog. Now, my blog has articles that I wrote. My writing. Me. It's not ChatGPT's words. I used ChatGPT. Yes, I did. But I promise you that every word that's there, those are my words. Those are my words. Okay? So if you like the way I think, if you like the way I teach, go read some of my articles and leave a comment. Thank you for this article. It was great. Or, your writing sucks. I think you're pretty stupid. Oops, sorry. So leave me a comment. All right? Okay, thank you. I have to go. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye.